Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you about another film, and this film is one of my favourites out of all the films that are like quite recent. And as you can probably tell by the title, this is Over Her Dead Body. Now, this came out in 2008, very beginning, I think it was like February. And I went into the cinema to see this. And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, I don't really know. Because it wasn't me, I was invited to go, I didn't actually buy the tickets or anything. I'd not even heard of it until that point. Because it was quite new release and things. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I don't really know anything about it. Maybe it'll be good. And it turns out it was fantastic, basically. So I was so happy that I finally got to see it. And then I got around to buying the DVD. And I was like, this is just perfect. I've watched it about 4 times with the DVD, I think. And I just love it completely. Okay, so the plot is really good. First of all, you've got your main character, Kate, who dies on her wedding day. And a big ice sculpture falls on top of her and crushes her, basically. It's not a sinister scene, you know, it's just basically ice sculpture falls, end of, you know, it's not gory or anything, which is good. And then she goes up to limbo, and her guardian angel is basically like, you're dead, you know. And Kate is a very stubborn character, you know, and she's like, well, no, I'm not dead, I can't be dead, you know, it's my wedding day, it's not happening. But she doesn't go to heaven straight away, she stays in limbo and that because she's got things to do on earth. Which is generally what happens when your main character dies. They generally stick around for the rest of the movie. So she sort of watches Henry, who it was her husband to be. And first of all, Henry is really grief-stricken. You know, he doesn't know what to do. He's devastated. Of course he would be. But then he sees somebody else, Ashley. And he really, they start to have a sort of really light-hearted relationship. You know, there's not much to it. And Kate's like, oh dear, you know. And then it gets a little bit more serious in case, like, right, enough is enough, I'm stepping in. Because obviously she doesn't accept the fact that Henry has to move on. So she tries and breaks them up in any way that a ghost can, you know. She tries to spook Ashley out. She tries to get other people to come to the house and do things. That sounds really weird. But, you know, she tries to do anything she can with her invisibility and her knowledge, you know, because she can do things telepathically and things. It's really good, basically. So the main plot is her trying to get Ashley and Henry to sort of split up. As you'd expect, because the character is so stubborn, she will not accept the fact that, well, she won't accept the fact that Henry, you know, that's it for Kate and Henry, you know, she died. It's basically it. Definitely a good plot. It's not 100% original. The fact that she was killed on her wedding day and then has to break them up is kind of original, but generally speaking, a lot of films do include somebody who dies at the beginning and then they have unfinished business throughout the rest of the film, which they have to do in ghost form. The first one that comes to mind is Ghost Town, which is a really great film as well. But I love anything like this where they take the impossible and make it possible. Obviously it's all about belief and things, but obviously I love things like Sabrina, films like Matilda and Harry Potter and things where things that happen really are down to belief, you know. Like, for all we know, this really could happen, you know. There could be ghosts right here, you know. I believe, but that's a totally different topic. So it's definitely a great film as far as plot goes, and the cast is just as wonderful. Now, your main character, Kate, is played by Eva Longoria. Eva is probably most known for Desperate Housewives, although I didn't personally start watching Desperate Housewives until earlier this year. I think I did a video post on it, actually. I actually knew her more so from things like her hair care adverts and things. I knew who she was, but I'd just never seen her in anything. So it was really good to see her as a leading lady. And then your leading man is Paul Rudd. Now, I was so pleased when I saw Paul Rudd on the screen. I was like, oh my god, it's Mike. Because obviously I'm a massive fan of Friends. And yeah, basically, 2004, I first sort of found out who Paul Rudd was. And from that moment, I was like, he is definitely one of the best actors. I don't care what people say, he is fantastic. Plus, it's really nice to have sort of another well-known actor. Normally, a lot of the time with films, unless it's one of these really star-studded films where they spend millions of pounds on the cast and sort of forget about the plot, it's really nice to have sort of 2 central characters that I knew, because normally I'll know the leading lady and I'll be like, who's that for the leading man, or vice versa. But this one is really easy. Easy? Yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, it's a really good film, really good plot. I knew the cast. Apart from Ashley, who's played by Lake Bell, I didn't know who she was. In fairness, I still don't. I've not seen anything else she's been in. She's going to be in Scream 4. I don't know if she's been in the rest of the Screams. I'm not a massive fan of Scream. I only make myself watch it because of Courtney Cox, and I don't really like the films. It's not for me. But yeah, so she's in there as well, which is good. And the other character that really stood out for me is Chloe. She's not in it much. She's just sort of like, if I remember rightly, she's a friend of Kate's. Like I said, she's just a sort of background character, to be fair. She has very few lines, but she's played by Lindsay Sloane, who plays Valerie and Sabrina. And when I saw Lindsay on the screen, I was like, oh my god, it's Valerie! I got so excited. Which is really weird when you're in the cinema and something really exciting happens on screen, but nobody else around you is getting excited, because obviously nobody else is like, oh my god, Sabrina, you know? Nobody else tends to care about Valerie. So I was alone in that one, but it's definitely wonderful to have her in this film, just as a sort of aside. But that's the cast. It's directed by Jeff, I want to say Lowell or Lowell, I'm not too sure how you pronounce that. I'd say Lowell, but I'll try and find out. It's well directed, of course it is. Fantastic film, it is really well done. I hadn't heard of the director before. He's worked on other shows. The only thing I recognised that he's worked on was Just Shoot Me. That's the only other thing I knew. But he does have quite a resume. You know, there is quite a lot on IMDb that he's done. So all credits to him. But basically the film itself is just so well done. It is a 12, I have to point out now before I forget. So if you're under 12, it's not for your eyes. And the reason given is contains infrequent moderate sex references and language, which it does, so that's fair enough. As far as prices goes, I think I paid about £5 for this, which I mean is a bargain for a DVD. £5 is pretty much what you're going to expect to pay nowadays after the DVD's been out for a month. I would have paid about £15 for this willingly if I'd bought it when it first came out, but I didn't. I think I forgot about it, to be fair. And then I saw it in Asda and I was like, right, I've got to buy that. So I did. It is widely available. You can get it in Asda, HMV, Play.com, possibly WH Smith, depending on where you go and how big the store is. So anywhere that sells DVDs, basically, you're going to find it. eBay. So yeah, it's not hard to get hold of. It's definitely worth watching if you sort of like things, like I said, about like ghosts and sort of more mythical, magical, fantasy type things, you know, things where the impossible are made possible. So it's definitely worth watching, worth buying if you can. But I think that's all I want to say about it. Fantastic film, definitely one of my favourites. Please feel free to leave comments and things. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know if you've seen it or if you want to see it, or maybe you don't, and if you don't want to see it, tell me why. That's all I want to say about that, so I will see you next time. Bye guys!